Hey everybody, it's Allie, and I'm really excited because today I am sharing with you my completed 2024 Project Life album. This is the last few months. It's actually August through December. So I have some previous videos that show you the earlier parts of 2024. Obviously, when you are watching this, if you're watching this in more real time, I'm actually filming this in September 2025. So my number one reminder is, as always, that our stories don't expire, right? Our memories may expire eventually, which is part of the reason why we document things so that we can remember. So many of these have been used. Some of these spreads have been used in some of our subscription classrooms. They've popped up here and there in a variety of different places. And I had about 5 weeks to complete, which is what I did this past weekend. So the ones that I did the last 5 weeks or so are all pretty simple because my main goal was I just wanted to finish that. I wanted it to be done. I want the project to be done. I already do my main December daily documenting, so my December is documented pretty concretely, I guess you could say, but you'll see when we get to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip through the rest of this album. This was a 9x12 album. I did 9x12 for a couple of years in Project Life. I'm not doing weekly Project Life this year. This year I'm doing a 10x8 album with monthly dividers and just kind of including whichever stories come up for me that I want to include. So this is the last time that I did a weekly project, which I had done for many years previously too. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and flip through. I'm going to highlight a few things as we go along. One of the things that you'll see in this one is repeated journal cards, right? Using the same design idea. In 2024, I also included a 6x8 page protector each time a new month came around. So I used pieces from the Stories by the Month kit for that. In 2024, each Stories by the Month kit had a monthly card like that. So lots of repetition in my design. This is using a big brush pen. I think that this paper is either from one of our, I think it's from the scrapbook kit, I think is where it was from previously. So that was before we changed things up and relaunched it into a storyteller kit. But this was fun to just do the 3x4 photos paired with the 4x6 journaling cards, right? And then I put little embellishments on top. So that was the first week in August. Then you can see some of these, again, I used different Stories by the Month kits, other kits. Some of these were projects that were done, like I said, for other classrooms. That's fun to see. Concert, taking the girls to see Olivia Rodrigo. More of that. There's like the ticket from that. And then just grabbing the journal cards, right? Letting it be simple. This time I put in a big Life Now. This was from one of the scrapbook kits, had the individual letters, these vellum letters. That was really fun too. I know there's a little bit of a glare on the outside edges just from the lights that I have in here. But I put that in there. It just says The Art of Observation. Then I also did a 2x2 page protector. You can see that I left a few of them blank. This was just that opportunity to take a square punch and square punch some of the basic things that were happening around here. Then I've got some flowers in there, always doing lots of August documenting, some beach volleyball. Lots of simple things, right? And simple approaches to the embellishing. Lots of times I'm doing something where I'm repeating some sort of embellishment. You can see in this case it was a bunch of these little stickers, and that became the main pieces of my journaling, right? I have a little bit of storytelling here, but letting some of the stories just be told with simple stickers too. So this is the end of August 2024 and then the beginning of September. So again, a mix of like Stories by the Month kit. This is Stories by the Month kits. So this would have been going to see Dave Matthews last summer when I wrote on our van. I also used a white paint pen to go ahead and put journaling directly onto the photos. That's always a fun way to do that. Here's then going in, this is like 1 year ago, right? 1 year ago, kind of to when I'm doing this right now. So we're back into volleyball season, making tags, photos of Audrey. I just got the photo of her for this year. Here's where I put in a 3x8. This was like a back to school thing where I had a photo of Anna, a photo of Audrey, and then went ahead and added some little guys on here. I think this was for a story kit. This was like the school story kit, I think is what that one was. Making essentially like its own little booklet that was inside of the 9x12. And some of these also have been shown on YouTube too, as I'm remembering, right? Individual weeks. Basically what I'm doing here is just showing you the whole thing all together. So football, volleyball, lots of volleyball, obviously, at the beginning of the year. Yeah, so this is 1 year ago. Using the September little journal cards or the tag cards, those were cute, mixing those in there. Having repeated embellishing with the little hearts and word phrase stickers. More volleyball. It was just a lot. It's a lot of what this time of year, that last season, last year and this year too. And the reminder on some of these, it's fun for me to look back and kind of see what I did. Like I used a lot of the label stickers, which is something I've done many times before, using just a couple journal cards and letting a lot of the stories and the word or the photos tell the story too, right? You can kind of have a combination of those. It's so fun for me to look back at this. Okay, so this is September into October. So we've got the 6x8 in there, and then October stories. These are actually from a few years ago, I think. Football, volleyball. Oh, I love it so much. Here's one where I used some of the stamp sets that we had. I think this was like the Stamps Are Fun, probably the beginning of Stamps Are Fun, I think. So I stamped the back of that card. It's a good example of stamps being such a nice way to unify, you know, whether you're doing 12x12 or 9x12 or 6x8, you can use the stamps to create titles for those. And then here's week 42. This time I added in, this would have been homecoming. This is from, I think, One Little Word last year. The change in season, right, into the fall. This was fun too because it's a bunch of homecoming pictures, so having that as an insert. Then I've got journaling here. That looks fun too on the tag card. So a few of the inserts, using the page attacher inserts to have that inside here. This was fun. This was the Grit story kit, which was from last year too, before the end of the story kits. Driving home last year from one of Anna's volleyball games, we were able to see some of the Aurora Borealis. We were out in the middle of nowhere driving home. Some of her games are like 2 hours away, and so that was really fun to be able to capture that too. It's fun to look back. More volleyball, more piles, more things that are very similar. Last year is very similar to this year, I think, in terms of the season that I'm in, especially with volleyball and all those things coming into the fall. So this one then is the transition from October to November. This was kind of a fun one here too. This is where Simon texted me that he saw his first sunset at the place that he was living, place he moved into last year. So he moved into a new place last fall, and then this year he moved into a different place. I think he's kind of hoping for some stability in where he's staying, but just part of the process for him. Yeah, just journal cards, lots from the Stories by the Month kits. This was for my birthday last year. They'd made a spooky Christmas tree. My birthday's in early November, so they made a Christmas tree with a bunch of little tags because they know how much I love going into Christmas, so that was a early thing. Christmas came early. So that's what I ended up doing, was just taking a picture of all of those and then printing them in that 2x2 size. This was from the state tournament last year. This is Katie's son, Graham, making a sign for Anna that I just added in there. Then more details. This is from the fan story kit, so using some of the cards from that to support the fandom. This one's using a stamp set, super cute. Used it to make titles. I love the colorful, I love the little story cards. Those are really fun too. Here's another one. I think this was from the stamping. I did a stamp class recently, And I think that an alpha stamping class, and then these were some that I used for that. Going into my stash to grab elements to add directly onto my photos. And then here we are into December. So these are the new ones that I've done. These are what I've been sharing the last week on YouTube and or the blog. These are the ones that I finished up over the weekend. And actually that guide still needs a Avery index tab. I like having that on the outside. So for these ones, I've used a lot of the December Stories by the Month kit from last year. That was kind of the jumping off point. A lot of these pieces are from that. Also going back to some of the tried and true things for me, adding alpha stickers on top. I got to pair those, mix in some O's, chipboard from that Stories by the Month kit. Here's the second week. For this one, I pulled out a bunch of these felt stars that we had offered. They're probably with December Daily. I just have a stash of stars, and so I added those. Some of them are on top and some of them are inside the page protectors, and also including, documenting a little bit, since this is the time when I'm working on December Daily. So then here, also going back into my stash, grabbing a bunch of those plastic tags that we offered a couple years ago with December Daily. They have cute little stars on them, and then just adding word phrase stickers on top and having that be my embellishment that goes across. A couple of them I just added chipboard stars onto there. This was a big piece of word art that I cut up. I really like how that looks too, that it created that see-through. Then this is just right before Christmas, so using, again, just like a little cluster of embellishments, getting in a bunch of sentiment cards, using up some of my stash for some of these. Again, remembering that I do a whole album that's all just about December, so some of these are not always they don't always have as much stuff. And then I decided for the last week, there was like a week with 2 days or a couple days. I just did it all together. I didn't feel like I needed to have one more at the end here. So this is a mixture of, this actually uses some of the new products for this year's December Daily. These are part of a new product, as are these little die cuts there, which work great on 3x4 photos. So that was kind of fun to see that. So lots about Christmas and kind of the things that we did for Christmas, and then a couple things for New Year's after Christmas, and then some reporting that was done about Anna's volleyball. So fun to have this wrapped up. I loved doing this. I'm also happy to not be doing it in this format right now. I was ready for a break from it, still ready, don't have a plan to go back to this at this point in time. I'm really liking how I'm approaching documenting from a monthly basis in the 10x8 and doing some more traditional things. And you can see more about that. I've had a couple videos that I've shown what this year's 10x8 looks like, so you can see that on YouTube and or on the blog, just to get an idea. And most of that stuff is being shared in the Storyteller Classroom, which is our new quarterly kit, but I do a video like this where you can see kind of the flip through of what I'm doing as well. But thanks for watching. If you have questions, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll see you guys back here for another video soon.